This episode of Minor Obsession is brought to you by the UNC Charlotte Belk College of Business, North Carolina's urban research business school. As alumni of Belk College ourselves, we encourage you to visit belkcollege.uncc.edu and learn how Charlotte's business school can inspire your career path. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Minor Obsession. I'm Scott Lieberman with Sean Newton. And, we'll start off on a somber note. COVID-19 is running rampant. It's been a couple of weeks now. I guess it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that they canceled the NCAA basketball tournament. They canceled the Conference USA tournament, mid-tournament, and all other sports for the fall or winter have been
spring.
See, I don't even know.
Seasons be tough.
Hey man, when you're locked up for a week plus in your house, you don't know what time it is anymore. But yeah, all sports are canceled, which stinks. Just wanted to address that. Obviously, we're a 49ers sports podcast, so content be tough right now. But there's a few things happening that I think we could talk about. We want to be able to provide a platform for you to still get your 49er updates and have something to distract yourself while you're stuck at home, potentially, as in such a tough situation like Sean with 2 kids without daycare.
Yeah, life is rough. Working full-time, 2 kids with daycare, trying to do this when we can. But I'll say one thing. I love what we do. I love being able to talk about the 49ers and being able to talk about sports, but man, am I really glad that's not my job right now. Because if this was our full-time job, I'm not sure what I'd be thinking. Like ESPN, the sports writers for Charlotte Observer, local radio. What do you do for the next 6 months? I know I've seen a lot of people posting about, hey, go watch this great game or the top games from 2019. Like, if it's not Charlotte's Final Four run game or something like that, I'm not knocking it if that's something you're into, but for me, there's no way I'm going and watching old games of just like regular season games and then coming back and talking about them later. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's why, which I appreciate, ESPN's so desperate for content, they aired an old WrestleMania on ESPN the other night, and they have 2 more coming for the next 2 Sundays. So
can you rewatch that though? Like, is that something you go back and rewatch? Because I feel like it's over. You know what happened. You know that I don't know. I'm gonna show my lack of wrestling knowledge here. Triple H came home with the crown for that one. So,
well, the results, but similar to a playoff game or something like that, WrestleMania is like your big deal, right? It's the Super Bowl. So when you go back to it, there's kind of a feeling that you get. You remember where you were or what happened. Just like if you watch the 49er Final Four game, you'd get that feeling. When you watch, the Braves win a World Series, you watch an old game like with Smoltz pitching, you get that feeling. There's a feeling involved there.
That's some real jabroni talk.
Look at you going with the wrestling terminology. Respect. But yeah, the point is, yes, I agree with you. They're desperate for content that they're playing old wrestling matches over old basketball games or whatnot. But moral of the story is, this is a scary situation that I hope we get out of. We love sports. You have season tickets to the Panthers and all the other 49er stuff. And honestly, most of the time when we see each other is really at sporting events. So if we can't have these large groups of gatherings, I don't think I'm seeing you in person for a while.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
We can FaceTime though.
Yeah, for sure.
People be FaceTiming. I don't know about you, but my wife is FaceTiming her friends and having FaceTime parties. Super fun to be around for those.
Yeah. But we feel bad for all the student athletes that prepared, especially those that are seniors. Tough trek there. You prepare all season, and those people that were seniors the year before, they had to deal with the tragedy on April 30th, and now this year they're dealing with this. They missed their season. Commencement's getting postponed. So really feel for anyone that's a senior at UNC Charlotte, especially spring athletes.
Yeah, it's going to bring up some really tough decisions too, right? Because if you're an athlete that knows they have a chance to go pro at something, then you stick around for that extra year of eligibility. But if you're somebody who's, doing it because they love it and just really love being a part of a college team, but you have your own career aspirations, do you put your whole life on hold if you get an extra year of eligibility back and come back next year, or do you just graduate and miss out on that whole amazing senior year? That's a really tough spot to be in.
Well, and you also have to think about it from the coach's perspective and from a recruiting perspective, right? There's a recruiting cycle that they're built on X amount of scholarships to bring people in and bring people out. So that also creates an additional problem, right? Like they've already recruited people that are going to be freshmen, and they're planning for these seniors to leave. So there's a lot of issues there. We'll see how the NCAA deals with that, what they do if there's an additional year of eligibility, if there's additional scholarships allowed for this reason. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. And, I know we've talked enough about COVID-19. Everyone hears about it. It's on the news all the time. You're probably working from home or like with the sports writers, who knows who's out of a job too. It's a tough time.
Or you're in an industry that has you working around the clock to help keep the country running, which is really respectful, and appreciate all the people at the grocery stores and the truckers and the healthcare professionals and everybody else who still gets up and goes out into the world and goes to work right now to make sure we've got food and medical supplies and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So, moving on, with COVID-19, the men's and women's basketball seasons got cut short. But in my opinion, unlike the Tar Heels, who had enough time to lose in the ACC tournament, the men and women never lost. So I'm declaring right now, A, that they're Conference USA champions, because I've been calling it all year that they were going to win those tournaments. And B, that they're national champions, because they never lost. They could have ran the table in the Conference USA tournament, won it, got their slot, and then made a crazy run.
Should we do that whole UCF billboard thing and crowdsource UNC Charlotte 49ers national champions billboard to run around the city with?
I mean, I would like it. It's kind of aggressive. I mean, there's some other good teams. Teams that I feel bad for are like a Dayton, who used to play with us in the A-10. Not a team that's, always a powerhouse like a Duke, Chapel Hill, Kentucky type thing. And they really got the short end of the stick. And I probably their best player who was killing it is going to go pro and not come back next year. It's unfortunate for them.
If an undefeated UCF team can claim themselves football national champions, then a 16-13 Charlotte 49ers basketball team definitely can too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was a good year. I'm glad we got the bye. So we made it to that point. I think the 49er FIU three-peat would have been a fun matchup. Really the winner-take-all, best-of-3 matchup. I know I was a little nervous about that game, but I thought we could have taken it down. But overall, great season by the men, doubling the wins from last season and potentially more if they would have had an opportunity to continue playing. And a great record at Halton Arena, 13-2. So good stuff from them. Some interesting news now also. So first, before all this happened, something that we both predicted, Jahmir Young, unanimous Conference USA Player of the Year. I think he won the Player of the Week, 8 times? So
yeah, something like that.
Seemed like a given. So congratulations to him, and good stuff from him, and I can't wait to see him come back as a sophomore. But additionally, we've had 3 players, 2 pretty key players, enter the transfer portal. So my favorite player and your favorite player have both left Charlotte and have entered the transfer portal. And for those of you that are not aware, my favorite player, Malik Martin, and Sean's favorite player, Cooper Robb. Additionally, Tyler Bertram also entered the transfer portal, but not quite as big of a player, at least this year, compared to the other two who were big contributors and, in the starting lineup the majority of the time, or Cooper was kind of like the sixth man for the squad.
Yeah, you never got to see too terribly much of Bertram. He got hurt before his freshman year started, so he redshirted while, Malik and Cooper and everybody else were getting PT on the floor last year. So he was at a big disadvantage there. Disappointed we didn't get to see more of what he could do, but definitely disappointed that Cooper, Robb, and Malik Martin aren't going to be around. Curious to see what your thoughts are there in terms of, is this a, hey, we don't like the way Sanchez coaches, or a, hey, there's some really good players around here. We don't think we're going to get the minutes we deserve next year, and we're trying to preemptively move somewhere where we can get some playing time? Or is this like an option C where, maybe people foresee, Sanchez going somewhere, some other shakeup that is coming that these players know about that has caused them to enter the transfer portal?
So I'm praying that option C is not an option, and I tend to not believe it is. I don't think that's happening. So let's try to take option C off the table.
Well, if there's a time to create mass hysteria, it's when there's already mass hysteria, right? So, like, everybody's already freaking out about stuff. Might as well make them freak out about Sanchez potentially leaving, too.
Sure, and he had a great turnaround, and this is a great time to go somewhere when you never actually lost, right? He could have made the NCAA tournament. He just never got a chance to.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's ignore the mass hysteria. I'm praying, and I honestly, I think it's a 5% chance Sanchez leaves now. Sure, I think he'll leave in the future potentially for a bigger job at some point, unless Mike continues to lock him in and get these awesome contracts or cool stipulations in place, which I love. But I don't think he's leaving now. I think each player is unique, so I wouldn't say they all are leaving for the same reason. I would think that none of it has to do with Sanchez, but it's interesting that this is kind of his first recruiting class, right? Under a short period of time, because he got hired in whatever it was, mid-March, but it was Mangum, who left after the first year.
Yep.
Brandon Younger, who transferred mid-season this year.
Yep.
Malik, Cooper Robb, and Bertram. So that's interesting, but also, he didn't quite recruit to what he could, and as you saw when he got a full recruiting cycle with a Jameer Young and some of these other guys that we'll talk about here in a second, that was the top class in Conference USA. And coming into next year, I think he has the second best class in Conference USA. So obviously the recruiting is upgraded. So I think, you're right, for some of this, they're not going to be getting the same minutes that they got as a freshman and then as a sophomore, for sure. I think Bertram had a few opportunities and didn't really step up to the plate. I think he made 1 3 ever, and it was when we were up by like a lot of points with 20 seconds left, and they were very pumped that he made a shot, but I don't think he ever earned his time. I think he might have been great on practice, but I think he could have expected a lot similar minimal minutes, and he might want to play some more. So I think that's the Bertram situation. I think Cooper Robb already saw his minutes somewhat reduced, but he showed that he was a great off-the-bench, six-man energy guy that can play in your starting lineup when needed, injuries, whatever. And obviously he knows the system now and plays so hard. Same with Malik Martin, plays very hard. But with Bryce Williams developing and only going to be a sophomore, Caleb Stone Carrawell, whose dad is a coach at Duke and highly touted 3-star recruit who was redshirted this year, is going to play next year. And then we have 2 other people,
Jackson Thread Girl.
Yes, 3-star out of
Jared
Davidson.
Garcia.
Yep, another 3-star. So all these guys are 3-stars. Malik and Cooper Robb, not rated at all, according to CBS 24/7. And Tyler was a 3-star, but obviously that didn't necessarily pan out. So I think, with all these people coming in, with people like Younger and Shepard kind of solidifying their position, and then with other people in the transfer portal, we saw this year with Bamba and Edwards coming in as senior transfers, you can expect more seasoned players like that to come in as well that are going to hurt their minutes. So I think they all left from that perspective of knowing that they're probably going to ride the pine a little bit more. But I think out of all of them, Malik Martin would be the one I could see potentially moving laterally or up to a similar school and getting time. Almost like a White moving to Wake Forest a year or two ago.
Yeah. What's interesting is, knowing the man that Sanchez is, or the figure that you see from Sanchez and how much he cares about the development of the players on and off the court and creating good men like he talked to us about, be interesting to be a fly in his wall as he got this news. I wonder if this was because it was 3 in very successive fashion, one day, one the next pretty much, maybe a couple days span extra, but basically within a week, all 3 of these players announced. So I wonder if this was a thoughtful, caring Sanchez move to come to them and say, hey, I've got a few other transfers that are probably coming in who are going to affect your minutes next year. Try to be thoughtful and give you a heads up about what your role is going to be. I still really want you around. Or I wonder if it was a bit of a surprise to them and the guys saw the writing on the wall and kind of made their own decisions. Because currently we still have 4 spots available scholarship-wise, and you're right, we certainly could have 2 more, 3 more grad transfers come in, like Bamba and Edwards, which were awesome to have around this year. But right now, as far as I know, we don't have anybody on the books yet. So hopefully there was some pre-thought before news like this came around, and we're not scrambling now to find pieces to fill in for next year. That would be my hope, because we took such a large step forward this year that I hope that next year we're not stuck with situations like his first year where we didn't even have enough players to scrimmage a full game. Certainly they'll fill some in, but injuries always happen and things like that.
And just to be devil's advocate, I know I just gave some reasons why they could have left. The only other option we didn't talk about is homesick or, something unforeseen that we're not aware about with family members or whatnot. And the 3 of them are kind of counting out, our crew from Serbia are kind of the players that live the furthest away from Charlotte.
Sure.
So, you got 2 in New York and then 1 in Kentucky. So,
yep.
It could be a situation like that where, they want to play closer to home or whatever.
Well, and when you talked about Cooper Robb being my favorite, I really wanted to say, and so be it if this is what happens, but man, if he's on the Hilltoppers team next year and we have to watch him play across from us in conference play, I'm going to be really sad.
You'll yell at him like you like to yell at the away team players. No, you'll still have a place in your heart. What about if he makes like 2 threes in your face?
That's fine. I'm going to be nice to him. He's my boy.
That's fair. I think he's a lot of people's boy. But, good luck to all 3 of them in their future endeavors. I think they can do good things, but I'm excited about this team, and I hope that the reason they're leaving is because they were going to get minimal minutes because we have even better talent coming in.
Here's the thing we didn't talk about because it's not transfer related, but I do want to hear your thoughts since we are, 7 months, 8 months away from the next basketball tip-off we have. Your boy that you talked so highly to me about before the season started, Anzac Rossetto. What do you think's happening there? You think he's going to get some PT next year?
Absolutely. I think he's going to be in the starting
player
lineup.
On the court?
Yeah. I think he is going to play that Bamba role, but potentially do it better because he's more athletic.
Are we going to come up with like a cool, like something from Down Under nickname for him next year if he gets in the
How
starting
about
lineup?
every time he scores, we go, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
I think he's from New Zealand, isn't he?
Maybe. But
That's pretty offensive.
is it?
Yeah, New Zealanders and Aussies, I don't think they get along too well.
He is from New Zealand. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I just look at like a 17-hour plane ride, and I always like put them together. Like if I'm going to go to Australia, I'm probably going to go to New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, we'll think of something else. I apologize if he's listening because I'm a big fan. I've been calling his name since I went to that Georgia game and I saw him kind of.
You did. You told me he was going to be huge this year.
Yeah.
Didn't really touch the floor, but I'm hoping next year it's 6'10" on the bench, no Bamba around. We'll see if there's another big man transfer to help out there. But obviously, we saw for most of the year we were running small with Supica kind of playing that 5 spot, switching in and out with Bamba there.
Yeah, but the two freshmen that we were just talking about, Jackson.
Threadgill and Jared Garcia,
Yeah.
6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, they're pretty big. They can play the 4 and potentially the 5 if we go small.
Caleb's 6'7" too.
Yeah.
Our whole team's tall now. Bryce Williams 6'7".
Yeah, I mean the only person
Caleb's 6'7".
short is Young,
Jameer.
and he's kind of
but-
special.
Yeah, he's amazing, so he can be short. It's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean everybody's rocking 6'4" and above if you count Shep in there. If you take Shep out, you're 6'7" and above.
Yeah. Well, Shep will be a super senior. Excited about next season. Hopefully, we don't have another pandemic. Hopefully everything gets back to normal in some capacity where we can go back to sporting events and not have to worry about getting this terrible disease because it's definitely something that I enjoy and we enjoy and kind of what everything that we talk about is about. I'm upset they canceled the NCAA tournament, but I think it wouldn't have been enjoyable without fans anyway.
Agreed. I definitely think that was the right call, as much as it hurts. I think most people, the big complaint is why cancel spring sports, why not delay them? But as we've seen, the rapidly progressing situation where states continue to add more and more lockdowns was kind of a good foresight for all the conferences to have to just go and wipe them out and not get people's hopes up.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Hopefully, again, everything works out and football goes on without a hitch. Only thing that we did miss out on was the spring game, the green versus the white team that was supposed to happen over the weekend. But we'll definitely make sure to try to get Coach Healy and some of the other coaches on as we fill content for the next couple of months. And if there's anything that you want to hear content-wise or interview-wise, let us know on social media, Minor Obsession. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We have an email, minor_obsession49@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out to us on any of those platforms. Let us know who you want to hear from. We're going to try to get Mike Hill back on to give us his take on the COVID-19. I think we might reconnect with Austin Duke with the XFL ending prematurely, not because they went out of business like the AAFL or AAF, whatever it is.
AAF. I think it's AAF.
Doesn't even matter at this point. But yeah, talk to him about his kind of unlucky run with those two things and what he's continuing to do. And, anyone else, would love to Coach Sanchez, Coach Kara to recap what happened and what to look forward to next year.
And since there is quite a while until 49er sports kick off, if you want us to start covering like Panthers or something like that, write in. I need enough support to convince Scott to become a Panthers fan and talk some Panthers shop with me.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Just a quick touch on the Panthers. Was not excited about them the handling of Cam Newton because I do like Cam Newton.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I'm almost not a Panthers fan
and I'm not excited about Teddy Bridgewater at all. But the signing of P.J. Walker from the XFL, as you know, I'm a one of the 5 XFL fans out there. And I've been
5's generous.
And I've been telling you this for months that he was going to sign with you guys because Matt Rule was his coach at Temple.
I don't know about months. I think you've told me for 2 weeks.
You
definitely told me before it happened, but months is a stretch.
And I'm still calling it right now, all you 49er fans that happen to be Panther fans like Sean. P.J. Walker will end up being the starting quarterback at some point, and that will be when the Panthers win games. So whether he wins the starting job preseason and kind of Russell Wilson's Teddy Bridgewater, kind of what Russell did to Matt Flynn back with the Seahawks. But I think P.J. Walker is your guy, and I think if he plays, you guys win.
This coming from the dude who thinks Daniel Jones is the next coming of Tom Brady.
Hey, at least Daniel Jones is a Charlotte guy. Let's go.
Charlotte
lad,
but he went to Duke.
Yeah. We didn't have a football team. I mean, we did, but we didn't. Now,
there was no Healy here is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think Healy would have got him there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Danny Dimes would have been at the Charlotte 49ers.
You also have to remember Danny Dimes, I think he walked on to Duke and just became a good player.
He's got that Giants work mentality going.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I know the audience isn't here to listen to us talk about the Giants and the Panthers, but if you are, we're happy to do a special edition for you. Again, with no sports, we're going to try to continue to give you content as much as we can. I think it'll probably be more periodically, maybe bi-weekly instead of the weekly that we've come to know and made a standard, but we'll still try to release on Tuesday mornings like we have been and try to keep you informed, whether it's interviews or if something big happens, like with the draft coming up. We can probably do a little breakdown of that about Alex Highsmith, Cameron Clark, and Benny LeMay, who hopefully will all get drafted, but unfortunately, the thing we were really excited about, them potentially coming out on a boat in the Las Vegas on the Bellagio fountains. Looks like that's not going to happen now with this.
That's dead?
I mean, with all the casinos are closed right now.
Yeah, but that makes it even better, right? You can't get coronavirus if you're not around other people. So just give each person their own boat.
I get.
Boom.
But
problem solved.
Do you do that without an audience? Isn't that kind of weird?
Oh, I mean, if they're still doing your wrestling without an audience, they can do that without an audience.
Well, we'll see. I'm assuming it's canceled. I would love to see them come out on the boat. I was excited to see that in all reality, but I'm thinking this is going to be an uneventful draft with phone calls and pictures and highlights.
Well, real talk then. Here's a betting line for you since we don't have any sports to bet on. If it's just all remote, over under, because what's the normal clock? Is it 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes? I forget.
I think the first round is 5 or 10 minutes, and then after the first round, it shortens to say 5 minutes.
All right. Well, I'll do this since we don't know the exact time. Over under half the time it normally takes between picks. If all the theatrics are gone,
0% chance. I think it goes longer because ESPN has no content that they're going to stretch this draft out. They might do a round each day rather than how they do like the first round, then they do the second and third, and then they do 4 through 7, and they do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think they might just do each day as a draft. Maybe they even give a day per pick. Who knows? They're desperate for content. I've never seen them talk about. I mean, we knew they were going to talk about Tom Brady going to the Bucs, but I mean, it's kind of excessive at this point.
I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I mean,
keep my head in the sand.
I barely watch ESPN now unless WrestleMania is on, or Marbles.
Marbles.
Yeah, that's the other thing they've been showing lately.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. Cool.
I don't even have to ask. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for listening. Minor Obsession will truck on. Like I said, if you have any suggestions or anything you want to hear about, let us know. And Sean and I will try to come up with some creative content. With those interviews, it might just be me because Sean has 2 kids and a job. So it's tough for him to get out, but we're going to try to schedule those around his very intense schedule.
And $1 million idea right here, since everybody seems into re-airing of old content, several of our episodes may be just us watching a game and playing the voicing the highlights, doing our own play-by-play of the game as we watch it. Huh? How about that?
I don't think anyone wants to hear that, but you never know. You never know.
It's not going to be a special game either. It's just going to be a random, like, not one of our worst FCS football games. That's what we're going to do.
Ugh. Why don't we watch the one that you weren't there for, the awesome one against
the Gardner-Webb
comeback game? That's a good game.
Yeah. I was out of town. I didn't leave early.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Keep us posted. Hopefully everyone stays safe, and we'll get back to sports and reality, normal times, hopefully in the not so distant future. But until then, while you're sitting at home or you're working out there, remember to always wear green.
Wear your green sweatpants. And go Niners.